Does picking out a cooking oil feel totally confusing? If it does, you are definitely not alone, so stick with me through this video today and I'm going to be sharing my 5 favorites, including when you actually want to avoid using them. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lindsay, a registered dietitian, here to help you guys make food feel good. So whether that is clearing up confusing nutrition messaging, sharing recipes, tips to help you save time with your meal planning and meal prep, that's what I'm here for. So if you haven't already, make sure to hit the red button below and subscribe to my channel so that you'll be notified when I post new videos every Wednesday. Fat has definitely seen a lot of controversy over the years, and I'm dating myself a little bit here, but growing up in the 90s, I think was the worst of it. It was fat-free, diet everything, but I think it's safe to say that those days are over. So we now know that there are a ton of benefits to consuming fat in our diet. It can help reduce inflammation when we're focusing on those anti-inflammatory plant fats and omega-3s. It helps to protect our organs, and there's certain vitamins A, D, E, and K, that are actually only absorbed when we eat them with fat in our diet. Beyond that, fat is also known as a satiety factor, which means that it's actually going to keep us feeling more full and satisfied for a longer period of time after eating. So for one, it carries flavor molecules. It's going to make us sort of enjoy that meal a little bit more. And it also slows the rate that our stomach empties after eating, which is going to have a positive effect on our blood sugars and keep our energy and mood more stable throughout the day as well. So there really is no arguing. We need it, we love it. But all of that being said, which oils are the best to cook with? And when it comes to cooking, we're not just considering the nutritional profile or the health benefits. There's a couple of factors that are going to come into play, and in some cases, we actually want a more processed or refined oil. So I'm going to run you through my 5 favorites. So I'm going to start off with my favorite and probably the least controversial of them all, olive oil. So olive oil is packed with super healthy mono unsaturated fats, which are anti-inflammatory, antioxidant rich. But the thing with olive oil is that it actually has a lower smoke point than a lot of other oils. So the smoke point is the temperature that it will start breaking down at. And when these oils start breaking down, not only do we lose those health properties, but they can also start to create toxic, carcinogenic, or cancer-causing compounds. So for olive oil, the smoke point is 350 degrees. So this doesn't mean that you can't cook with it at all, but you wouldn't want to barbecue with it or roast at a high heat or stir fry at a high heat. So it is great for things like marinades or salad dressings, sauteing at a lower heat. So it's still something that you can use. It's pretty multi-purpose, but I do like to keep a couple of other ones stocked on hand. So I should mention that this is an extra virgin cold pressed olive oil, which is basically the oil in its least processed or refined form. So the more an oil is processed, the higher smoke point it's going to have because you're removing, we call them impurities, but really those are some of the nutrients and where the beneficial properties are found. But the more processed it is, the higher heat you can cook it at. So that's when you might actually want to choose a more processed oil in certain situations. Next up is avocado oil. If you haven't heard of this one, this is one I'm always turning my clients on to. And I love this because it has the most similar nutritional profile of fatty acids to olive oil, but it has a really high smoke point. So you can actually cook with avocado oil up to 500 degrees. So this is what I use for barbecuing, roasting at high heats. It does have definitely a bit of a stronger flavor, but I find that you can't taste it that much when you cook with it. It's not what I would use so much in like a salad dressing or marinade. Other high heat oils that you might be more familiar with are things like canola oil, grapeseed oil. So over the years, I have sort of switched over to this because it is a bit less processed. I know some of those oils get a lot of hate sometimes because of that, but there's a lot of different things that you want to consider whenever you're making food choices. The cost, the accessibility. So anytime that you can cook more from home, that's going to be a huge step towards, benefiting your health. So whatever's accessible and affordable to you, that's also something to consider. Have you guys tried avocado oil before? I'd love to know in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of it. Next up is an oil that's a little bit more controversial. Coconut oil. So people seem to either love it or hate it, but the reason that there's a bit more confusion with coconut oil is that unlike most plant oils that are primarily unsaturated fat, coconut oil has a high concentration of saturated fat. So another way to tell, plant oils are generally liquid at room temperature, whereas with coconut oil, you can see that it's solid at room temperature. So where you'd normally find these solid, saturated fats would be in animal foods like butter, cheese, dairy. So it is a bit weird to see it in a plant food, but the difference between the saturated fat in coconut oil versus the animal products is that it's actually a different form that's easier for our body to break down. use up for energy. So these are called medium chain triglycerides. And again, it's a lot easier for our body to break these down. We don't store them as easily. It's easier to use them for energy. So where I suggest using coconut oil, don't replace all of your plant oils, your olive oil, your avocado oil, but use it in the mix sometimes. I like it for its flavor. So the unrefined coconut oil, the less processed one, is gonna have more of that nutty flavor. It's great for sauteing prawns or putting into curries, stir fries, things like that. And then the unrefined oil is great. It cooks at a little bit of a higher heat. And it is also, it's not gonna have that strong coconutty flavor when you really aren't looking for that in a dish. The smoke point for these two, and I should mention that I'm talking about Fahrenheit when I'm talking about the cooking temperatures here. So it's about 350 degrees Fahrenheit for the unrefined coconut oil, so that's the same as the unrefined olive oil, and then about 450 degrees Fahrenheit for the refined coconut oil. Next up, I've got ghee, which I find that not as many people are familiar with. I really like this one, particularly for the flavor. So ghee is a clarified butter, meaning that the milk solids have been removed, which makes it more tolerable for people with a lactose intolerance, and it also has a higher smoke point. So for this one, between 450 and 500 degrees as well. This one is a cocoa ghee, so it is a blend of coconut oil and ghee. So you get kind of the benefits of both. It adds a ton of flavor to different dishes. Speaking of butter, I do also use regular butter. When I'm able to, I use grass-fed butter. So grass-fed butter is basically from cows that graze off of grass instead of off of grain. And this allows them to produce different types of fat in the milk and in the butter yogurt that is produced from their milk. Sometimes even those omega-3 anti-inflammatory fats. So I do use butter from time to time as well. The last ones I'm kind of lumping together. I actually don't have either on hand to show you guys right now, but what I want to talk about is flaxseed oil and walnut oil. So these are two super nutritionally dense oils. They both are a great source of omega-3 fatty acids, unsaturated fats. They are minimally processed, again, which makes them great for retaining those nutrients, but they have quite low smoke points. So about 225 to 250 degrees for the flax and 320 degrees for the walnut oil. So these I like to use for salad dressings to drizzle on to the end of a finished dish. Again, for flavor, some nuttiness, and an extra little boost of nutrition. So I hope that cleared some of the confusion and answered your questions about the different types of oils. Now that you know which ones you want to use and maybe avoid in certain situations, you're probably ready to get cooking. So I will link some of my favorite recipes to show you how to use the different oils down in the description box below. And if you're not already, come follow me over on Instagram so we can hang out over there too. You can find me at Lindsay Pleskot. So I am on there daily showing behind the scenes of what I'm cooking in my kitchen. I also do a weekly Instagram live. I'm on my Instagram stories a lot answering questions just like this for you guys. If you enjoyed this video, I would so appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up down below and shared it with any of your friends that love to cook too. I'd love to hear from you guys. What is your favorite cooking oil and what was your biggest takeaway from today's video? Let me know in the comments below. Before you jump off, hit that red subscribe button below and I look forward to seeing you guys next week.